Welcome to State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. We're coming to you from the Agnes Varis NJTV studio in Newark. It is our honor and pleasure to introduce for the first time on State of Affairs, Beth Simone Noveck. She's Chief Innovation Officer for the great state of New Jersey. Good to have you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Now, is this, by the way, we're doing a whole series on the future of innovation. Check out our website, which will come up. You can see all the programs we're doing around innovation. There is a government post about innovation, A, and B, is it the first time ever?
It's the first time ever for New Jersey and one of the first states ever to have a chief innovation officer, so yes.
Why have we waited this long to do this?
Oh, well, a lot of states, haven't done this yet. Many people haven't done it. We've thought for a long time, I would say at least a decade, about the importance of technology in government, making sure that we have computer systems that work, websites that work, that we have effective cybersecurity, and we do all of that in this state as well. But the idea of a different role, a role that really thinks about how do we use technology, data, and innovation to achieve our core policies, be they economic development, educational advancement improvement, better health care. I think there's an important role for technology and innovation and data to play in helping to advance our policy priorities as well.
Now, you have national and international experience as well. What always fascinates me, and I tried to study this and understand it from a basic public policy point of view, but when the healthcare.gov website did not work in October of 2000 and, I don't know, check the date, 10, 11, I thought to myself, wait a minute, there's a policy, but for the policy to work, the website had to work.
Absolutely.
It didn't work. There were a lot of snafus, and I thought, I often think about this, what did people in government, around government, learn from that? And what does it have to do with the future of innovation technology?
I think you're absolutely right that the healthcare.gov debacle, if we can call it that at the time, while a terrible thing, was in fact a crisis that we've taken advantage of.
How so?
Well, of course, we saw at that point that you can't think about technology as an afterthought. You can't wonder about how do we write the legislation and then only later think about how do we implement it in practice. You need to have the lawyers and the technologists, the data scientists and the policy people sitting down side by side at the same time to talk about how do we use these new tools that are available to us to actually implement the intent of our legislation, first of all. And second of all, there are many things that we can do without legislation where we can simply create better tools, better apps, more available data that helps to achieve the same purpose.
One example.
So one example, right now in the state of New Jersey, we do have legislation and appropriations around better workforce development. But at the same time, one of the things that my office is doing together with the Department of Labor and Workforce Development is thinking about how do we put tools in the hands of the unemployed, especially the long-term unemployed.
Tools. You keep using saying tools. What do we mean by that?
Tools. Well, we're talking about things like a reminder on your mobile phone that tells you what do you need to do today to help improve and accelerate your job search. We don't have to send people, though it's useful to send people also to a place, an office, a government office in the state of New Jersey. But given the technology that we have in our hands, imagine the ability to give somebody virtual counseling and mentoring via their phone or via their computer from somebody who has expertise in their field, who has expertise in job searching, and can help bring you that service where you sit. Imagine using your mobile phone or your watch to tell you, hey, get off the couch today and do your resume. Get off the couch today and network with people.
That's
giving
the
you
role
those
of government?
reminders.
That's the role of government to drive that?
So I get the implication of the question, which is that a lot of this technology comes from and is developed by the private sector.
Yes, but what's the role of government if the private sector is responsible for developing it, R&D? The role of government is?
So the role of government is, I think, a number of things. Number one, making sure that these tools are accessible and affordable to everybody, not just affordable to the people.
That's a policy question.
It's a policy question. It's a practical question,
Economic
which
question.
is if I'm a software company, I may be interested in selling my tools to the people who can most afford to buy them or watch my advertising. From the government standpoint, we want to ensure that everybody has access to these benefits and these tools, not just people who are in the 1% or the 10%, number one. Number two, making sure that we have wide distribution. And number three, I think making sure that the tools that we develop and design are really serving the needs of the people, not simply serving the needs of the companies who design them.
Beth, let me ask you this. Our production company, together with our colleagues and friends in public broadcasting, have lots of relationships, partnerships, collaborations with higher ed institutions.
Yes.
You do as well. What's the connection between higher ed and innovation in the state?
Well, we have, first of all, one of the most educated states in the nation. We have a tremendous number of educated people, particularly in sciences and in engineering. We have great talent. In fact, the greatest asset we have in the state are the residents of the state itself. And those people are often in our universities, whether they're faculty or students or staff. So in fact, after I leave here, I'm heading to one of our universities in the state, precisely to go talk about how we can take the supply of talent in the university, students, faculty, et cetera, and match that with the needs and demands and challenges that we have in the state. So a lot of what we're trying to do, knowing that we can't from a small office sitting in Trenton, that we can't do everything ourselves, is to connect the talent that we have to the challenges that we're facing. Just one quick example also.
Sure.
Last year, on the same day that I took office last
August 2018. you took
August
office.
2018, is that right? Yes.
Does it seem longer? I'll leave that alone. Go ahead.
It seems shorter. It seems shorter and longer, depending on the day of the week. We also launched a project called Research with NJ that my colleagues... Research with NJ. Which is a catalog, essentially, beginning to be all of, not there yet, but a large number of faculty experts, academic experts across the universities of the state, in an effort to give greater access for companies, for government, and for universities themselves to that talent across universities. So whether I'm a professor working on, let's say, smart cities that wants to find colleagues to collaborate with to apply for a grant across universities, or I'm a company looking for a faculty expert, the idea is to use technology to make that expertise more accessible and more available. And that's some of what my office does, is try to go around to our universities and to link the talent that we have, the very innovative talent, and match that to opportunities.
There is a program called the New Jersey Innovation Skills Accelerator.
Yes.
Is that what it is? Training program? I mean, it's got a long title. What is it, and why does it matter to people watching on State of Affairs?
In just this month, in June, we launched something called the Innovation Skills Accelerator. This is a free program online aimed first at the workforce of the state of New Jersey, but available to everybody, whether they work for towns or cities, whether they're in the private sector, universities, or just individuals sitting at home. It's an introductory course to thinking about how do we use new technology, how do we use data, how do we use new ways of working and thinking, like consulting with people, asking people, talking to residents, to change how we work for the better in order to solve problems more quickly. The goal of this is to ensure that our 70,000 public servants in New Jersey, first and foremost, are using new technology to become more effective at solving public problems, working with and talking to and collaborating with residents, and using data.
Beth Simone Noveck is Chief Innovation Officer in the state of New Jersey. This is part of a series we're doing on the future of innovation in the state and nationally as well. Check out our sister program, Think Tank. We'll deal with it nationally as well. Beth, I want to thank you for joining us. Thank you. Stay right there. This is State of Affairs. This is NJTV. We'll be right back.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of State of Affairs with Steve Adubato has been provided by Seton Hall University, Valley Bank, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, Hackensack Meridian Health, NJM Insurance Group, Choose New Jersey, and by ADP. Promotional support provided by Meadowlands Chamber and by NJ Biz,